Hey everybody, welcome to SmackDown Yays and Boos back over here on the John Moonsault channel. Put it on the Stash Club channel for a while. People hated it. And it makes more sense over here, especially since I do streams and stuff and it feels more cohesive. Also, fair warning, welcome to a sleepy edition of SmackDown Yays and Boos. Sophie has us up at the crack of dawn to film on days she's filming. So we did that today. Me and Jimmy also did a little business trip to the Red Sox game. I got this cool hat there, so that was tired. Beers they were had. They were drank, they were deleted. Then SmackDown, and we all know SmackDown. The 3 hours doesn't fly by all the time. So we're recording this right after SmackDown. I'm sleepy. Without further ado, there's been a little bit of ado. We're going to get right into it. The first one here. The ending to the men's Money in the Bank qualifier was honestly really, really weak, and I expected more. LA Knight and Aleister Black should both be in the match. I don't disagree inherently that it would be nice for LA Knight and Aleister Black to both be in the match. I think my pick was Aleister Black. I'm actually pretty surprised that LA Knight was chosen. I think we're going to kind of talk a little more about LA Knight kind of down the line with some hot takes. It was a shocking win, though, and I'm never one to complain whether I disagree or agree with the outcome. If it's a shocking win, that gets some credit for me, because that barely happens these days. So I like the shocking win. I'm surprised there wasn't more Carmelo and Miz stuff to kind of take Aleister out of it. I want Aleister Black to win. He just returned. He's on fire. It would have been sick to have him in the Money in the Bank match. And like I said, we're going to talk more about LA Knight. I don't know if he needs it, but I don't know. They should be both be in it. I agree. However, I am going to give this one a boo. So I didn't think the ending was that weak. I think maybe it was just an outcome a lot of people didn't expect or really thought Aleister was going to win. But I disagree. Again, yays are agree, boos are disagree. It's nothing deeper than that, just so we're clear. I'm not shocked our boy Shinsuke ate the pin off the Black Mass, but I mean, LA Knight, he's not a heel. So it was a little heelish of him running in and tossing out Aleister. But at the end of the day, LA Knight's character is wanting to win, so it makes sense. I don't know. I don't think it was that weak. I think it was a good way to protect Aleister Black a little bit while still getting LA Knight what people are calling a past due spot in the Money in the Bank match, and people are speculating he's going to win now. So I don't know. I'm giving it a boo, but a lot of this I see where you're coming from. I just don't ultimately agree fully that it's weak and that negative for with the outcome. All right, next, this is from the same person. I'm not going to normally do that, but I like both their takes, and I wanted to kind of fit this in as well. And they said, the crowd was extremely weak tonight and didn't help the show at all. Take the Raw crowd and add to the SmackDown, it elevates it hugely. The what chants to truth and constant we want tables killed the vibe. Hey, you know what? You got yourself a yay. You had your boo in the last one. You redeem yourself with a yay. Not that we're keeping score and there's redemptions in this. I'm just kidding. So I'm not going to necessarily speak on the crowd in Savannah specifically, but I agree ultimately that the what chants for truth was lame. Truth is the ultimate face going into this, and his promo was awesome. He dropped the really silly stuff. The Lord of the Rings reference was funny. There was a little bit of that humor and delusionalness that was in it that we needed for R-Truth's character, but ultimately it was very serious, very strong, and very true. He was talking about, he was basically saying, I have to now be the one to try to save wrestling. I'm gonna beat the hustle, loyalty, respect back into Cena. This isn't the Cena I know. Ultimately, he's gonna get his ass kicked at Saturday night's main event. They have 5 matches on that show. It's on NBC and there's commercials. It's only a 2-hour show. It's gonna last 5 minutes. But Truth is also a veteran. I think you would have thought and you would expect that he has earned the respect from the crowd to maybe not give him the what chance when, this is his first time in the spotlight in the big title match in a very long time. And his first, when's the last time he cut a serious promo in the ring? So that was pretty disappointing. The We Want Tables was pretty odd for, I think it was the men's Money in the Bank qualifier. And it's just what are we doing? I get triple threat matches traditionally are no DQs. Sure, but it's not I get it. They said it very early though. So I don't know. I also wasn't a fan of that. So I agree. I don't know if the crowd will necessarily make SmackDown that much better. If you take a Raw crowd and put it on this SmackDown, it's still not to the levels of where Raw is at. Raw is kicking SmackDown's ass. I think if you put Raw's crowd to this SmackDown, it's still a fine, a little bit overstaying your welcome sort of SmackDown. But ultimately, I agree with you with the crowd being come on, let's whatever. Yeah, we'll move on. All right, so next one says, Melo, Andrade, and Jacob shouldn't be in the same qualifier. Each of them should be in the ladder match. Hey, listen, that's the game. That's what happens. Not everyone can win. A qualifier is only one person that can win. I would rather have the stat qualifiers to kind of be like not so obvious who's going to win. You know, it happened tonight where LA Knight won over Aleister Black. Well, I think, sure, in a perfect world, we do want all of our favorites. These three men for sure do deserve to be in the match. But you can't fit all 20 of our favorites in the match. So ultimately, I get what you're saying. I don't disagree inherently with where you're coming from. But this is getting a boo because while I agree they should be in the match, that's Dallas. That's how it works. You know, the game's not nice sometimes. Sometimes it sucks, and that's part of life. That's part of what it is. All right, next one says, although it made sense for the WYATT SICKS to return tonight, beautiful. I was hoping we would talk about WYATT SICKS. With it being Bray's birthday, interrupting the tag title match, and being the reason it ends in DQ is just annoying. If DIY got the DQ called, then fine, but it was because of the WYATTs the DQ happened. This is a boo for sure. I very much disagree with this. First of all, super, super cool with the cake involvement and all that landing on Bray's birthday. That was beautiful. Almost shed a damn tear. And sure, listen, I am for sure on the side of I want less DQs and shoddy finishes and interruptions in my matches. Like that's been a discussion the past few weeks, especially with Jimmy and I, of that kind of overstaying its welcome. I disagree that if it was DIY that got involved and called the DQ, sure, it makes sense on paper. I think that's way more annoying than a highly anticipated return of the WYATT SICKS, a shocking return. I didn't see, granted, I'm kind of off Twitter these days, but I didn't see any reports or rumors that the WYATT SICKS were returning tonight. I'm sure there were, but whatever. I loved it. I really loved the end of SmackDown tonight, and the Street Profits and Fraxium had a great match. Those last, like when you came back from that last commercial break, which the commercial breaks were too much. It took me out of the match a lot. That was it. I think that whatever. So for what we saw of the match outside of all the commercial breaks, it was a great match. Sure, I would have loved a clean finish. I would rather a clean finish above all. However, I think this is the exception here because we got this. I'm a sucker for a lights out moment and a surprise. What's happening? And the lights come on. They're all in the ring. They brutalized everyone. I wouldn't be surprised. People are kind of confused. Like, why are they interrupting the tag match? I'm sure there's going to be a tag team within, whether it's Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy. Maybe Uncle Howdy gets involved with like Eric Rowan, or kind of mix and match there. So I think they are added to what's already a very strong SmackDown tag division. I think it's great. So I love it. Well, again, I get maybe I'm a hypocrite for being like, no more DQ finishes. God, this is the exception. Welcome back to WYATT SICKS on Bray Wyatt's birthday. Beautiful, fun way to end SmackDown. And yeah, so that's that. All right, so next one says, third time is a charm. You can't delay this anymore. LA Knight has to win the Money in the Bank. I'll tell you what, of the two, which it's crazy when we have two qualifiers for the men so far, or qualified people, I should say, with Solo and LA Knight, between the two of those right now, it's looking like LA Knight has a shot. Even looking at some of the other entrants or the potential qualifiers, I think LA Knight has a good shot. There's an argument, which I don't know if it's in here or not, but I think someone, has an argument of like maybe we missed the boat on LA Knight. I agree and disagree. I don't think LA Knight really needs it at this point. However, I am a retired LA Knight hater just as much as I am a retired Damian Priest hater. So I think a rejuvenation with LA Knight, I don't think is past due. Not that this is like what this is. So ultimately, I agree in this. I don't know if LA Knight's my pick, but it's like I don't fully disagree where it's like I'm not giving this a boo just because I don't think LA Knight's win the Money in the Bank. So we don't really know. He's not my pick. I'll say that now. Yeah, he might end up being. We'll see. What I will say, and I think it's kind of what you're alluding to, is if not now, and people are already arguing that we, missed the boat. If not now, fully missed the boat. I do agree. I think it would be very entertaining as a Money in the Bank holder. Him walking around and have a big on it. Him, holding it over people's heads. We would just have to do some shuffling around because it's not going to be for the WWE title. We have to shift him over toward Raw. Granted, they've been teasing a draft. There's been reports of a draft, but I don't know if that's happening. So it's not a crazy pick. So ultimately, like I said, it's a yay. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's not my pick, but it's not a crazy pick. Oh, here we go. This is what I was talking about. All right, so to kind of leapfrog on that, I'm going to get so much hate for this, but I feel as though LA Knight's a bit overrated. Everybody attacks Jay for being a catchphrase, but I can't really name one really good feud that's involved LA Knight. Just, chance, don't hate him, but maybe he's just not my cup of tea. Okay, never mind. Not what I thought we were going to be talking about. I thought we were kind of talking about LA Knight's a little past due. So, hey, listen. Like I said, take it from me. As a retired LA Knight hater, I'm not necessarily tearing down the roof. That's not what I'm saying for him to win, these days necessarily, but he's entertaining. I get it. I get the catchphrase catchphrase. I don't know. And he's very solid in the ring. So this one's a boo solely because, like I said, I'm a retired LA Knight hater. But honestly, like, I agree. And he's not necessarily my cup of tea either. While I'm just kind of neutral on him at this point, even leaning to like. He's like, Damian Priest wasn't my taste or cup of tea for a while. Same thing with LA Knight. And, I'm sure there's other examples as well. And that's, hey, listen, I'm going to take this opportunity to say, that's fine. Listen, when I say these things, when I say, like, he's not my cup of tea or I'm not a fan of LA Knight or Damian Priest, I'm not talking about the worker. I'm not talking about the person. I have so much respect and love and care for all of these workers. I'm strictly talking about, and I think it's what you're talking about. I'm gonna assume it's what you're talking about, because I agree that when I'm talking this way, it's about the characters. I and other people are allowed to not like these fictional characters that are on our fictional TV show, So if you're not an LA Knight fan, you can fully be like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of LA Knight. It's boring to be a fan of everyone. How boring is that? I am a fan of everyone. That's boring. That's lame. It's not fun. There's no spice. I say, don't be a fan of everyone. I think that's way cooler. So I don't know. That's my little soapbox. But again, if there's ever me being like, oh, LA Knight, I'm not a fan, or like whatever, it's strictly the character. It's not deeper than that. And, he's still a great worker and deserves all the success. If he wins Money in the Bank, I'm not going to be like, screw that guy. But as a fan, I might be like, damn, that sucks. I want someone else. But like, remember, I think that's the difference with Stash Club and John Moonsault and like, our little bubble is a lot of times, folks, we're watching as fans. We're not watching trying to like write the show or think business wise or like whatever. We're watching as fans and we're reacting to the TV show. But all right, that's my soapbox. We'll move on. But I feel like I've said that in the past, but we'll move on. Thanks for that one. All right, next up, having champions in your qualifying matches is horrible booking IMOs. Leanne doesn't need losses because she's the US champ, and Jacob should be worried about defending that title and not Money in the Bank. Okay, I've gone on record on the podcast agreeing with this take, saying like, hey, mid-carders or the mid-card champion should not necessarily be in Money in the Bank. They already have the title. I've been swayed a little bit. I think I'm ultimately, I'm not going to decide yet. Right, I don't know. Is it even a case-by-case scenario? I don't know, because listen, I'm not going to complain about a Zelina Vega and or a Jacob Fatu in, one, a triple threat match for a qualifier, because it's a big name and it helps the star power, and two, B, I forget if I said A to start with. But secondly, I'm not complaining for either of those two in a Money in the Bank ladder match. You know how sick that's going to be for, or would be, is be, whatever, for a Zelina Vega in a Money in the Bank ladder match, for a Jacob Fatu running wild, doing flips everywhere with ladders, where sure, does it make a whole lot of sense for the, a person who's worked this hard and tried to gain this mid-card title to already be looking past it and like, screw this title, I want something bigger. It doesn't really make sense, but at the same time, which is why I've been persuaded, it kind of does make sense. If you're a mid-card title, what do you ultimately want? You do want to maybe graduate to the world title. What's a ticket to the world title? Money in the Bank briefcase. So I don't think it's a crazy thing for a mid-card champion to even win Money in the Bank and then maybe give up the mid-card title and like, oh, like I've gotten this far. This is all, stepping ladders, and this is the next step to get me to that world title. So I don't think it necessarily buries the mid card. I do think you have to be careful because you still want to show care for it. But I don't know, if you asked me my opinion on this 2 weeks ago, I'd be giving this a yay. But I'm giving this a boo because I don't think it's horrible booking. While I fully agree with a lot of it, where I'm not fully on one side, but I'm slightly more yay than I am boo. So that's where, what did I say? Slightly more boo than I am yay. So that's where we're gonna leave it at. But like next week, my opinion could change. I could be giving this a yay next week. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. All right, folks, that's where I think I'm gonna end it. I am about to fall asleep from exhaustion here. So maybe a little shorter one. I don't really know how long I've been recording for, but thank you for being here. Please let me know what you want to see next. Let me know what you like about yays and boos. If you want to see more of it on this channel, well, I'm gonna keep doing it. So more importantly, let me know your yays and boos, your hot takes, what didn't get mentioned. Please make sure you subscribe, leave your likes, follow me on everything, Instagram, Twitter, everything's in the description. Catch up on Stash Club stuff. We put out 2 banger quizzes on Thursday and Friday, so please check that out. I stream here and on Twitch. Obviously, it kind of connects with the yays and boos. All right, until next time, Red Sox also won 19-5 or something like that today. That was crazy. Good luck charm, I guess, over here. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Bye.